Hey guys, it's Kurt here. Thanks for everyone who can attend. See, we've got a good turnout already. This is looking good. I'm going to start it up here in just a couple of minutes. Um, for those of you who are already here, hey Jersey, uh, go ahead and we're going to be doing a live Q&A throughout this webinar. So start posting your questions. The more questions we have, the more answers we can give. And I got two guys on the call with me who are have some serious knowledge about domains, Spire domains, finding them, using them, making money with them. So don't hesitate to just ask, the deep faculties. And also don't be afraid. There's no dumb questions. We all started somewhere. So just jump right in with your questions. This webinar should be recorded. It will be recorded, and I'll be doing a share of it once we're all done. So if I go too fast, or if Catalin or Ryan go too quickly, or you don't quite catch their answer the first time around, we probably won't be repeating ourselves too much, but rest assured that you can watch the replay and you can just kind of rewind and go over a spot if we unveil a huge amount of information. It takes some time to unpack. So I hope you can understand why we'd be doing that. All right. Yeah. Hey, Neil. Cool. I see the questions starting to come in, so that's great. All right. Well, I am going to go ahead and I'll be introducing Catalin and Ryan in a little bit, but I'm going to jump in and start off with showing the new version of Lazarus. Let's see here. So, tell me in chat, can you guys see the screen that I'm sharing? We'll make sure that we're awesome.
Yeah.
Good deal. And how about all the other, like the attendees? You guys seen it? You can say in chat if you're seeing it or not. Just want to make sure. Just give me like a 1 or something if you're seeing it. Want to make sure that you guys are seeing it. Good. Okay. Good deal. All right. So let's just jump right in. I'm going to assume for a second nobody knows anything. All right. So very quickly, I'm going to go through how you would do a setup of Lazarus. When you get it, this is what you're going to see in a zip file when you open it up. The main files you want to edit are the config file, and I'll go right there first. And then you have 4 other files that you can change things with. So in the config, and don't worry, this is my license, and I'll be changing it after this webinar. So, in fact, shoot, I might need to change it before I can even demonstrate it. I could see it getting hammered right away. But basically what we're doing here is, so you go in here, you change your license, everyone gets a key when they do it. You get your Dynadot API key, that goes there. You got your Namecheap stuff, you have a Moz key, and then everything else is just preference. So, for example, whether or not you have Web 2 enabled or not, if you purchase the Web 2 add-on for the lifetime users, monthly users automatically have Web 2. Whether or not you want to use Moz, Moz really works as a filter for your domains. Same thing with Majestic. If you are using Majestic, do you want to use it with your own access token, or are you going to be using it with the credits that you've purchased through us? Can my screen go bigger is the question I'm seeing. And I don't see an option. I'm doing full screen on my end, so unfortunately, Justin, I don't think I can make it any bigger at this time. And is it, yeah, and I would say the questions I'm already seeing about Dynadot and Namecheap, basically my recommendation is you use both. Now, Dynadot, totally free. You can go sign up and get your API key like in 5 minutes or less. Namecheap requires that you either have $50 deposited with them or you have like 20 domains. And it's also really fast to get your API key. The trick is when you request your API key, open up a support chat session with Namecheap, and they will go ahead and activate it for you right away. Otherwise, if you don't do that, it could take like a day for them to activate it. So, quick questions about the settings. Let's see. I'm going to try something here. So I'm getting some advice on how to make this bigger, but I'm not. Yeah. So unfortunately, I mean, I'm sharing an entire screen over here, and it's already full screen. So I don't think I can make it bigger, but I'll keep looking at it and seeing if I can do anything about it. Okay. So back to the settings. Majestic DA threshold. Common question about this one is, how to use it. The way this works is it drives what majestic data is going to be pulled for expired domains. So the way it works is if you say, I want the DA threshold, right here I have it set to 5, that means that any expired domain that shows up in your results with a Moz DA of 5 or greater, we will retrieve the majestic data for it, assuming you have majestic enabled. If the DA of that domain is less than 5, we do not retrieve the majestic data, but the domain will still be in your output file. So if this does not filter out domains, it just decides which domains are going to get data. Very similarly with the Web2 PA threshold, this is determining which Web2s you're going to get majestic data for. And since Web2s typically have a really high DA already, we're going to look at the page authority instead of the domain authority. So we say page authority greater than 5, then we're going to bring it in. Next two settings are the fresh index or the historic index. Again, this is majestic. Do we want to show the majestic fresh data or the historic data? And then lastly, do we want to show or retrieve majestic data for the www version of a domain or the non-www version, or both? And it's important to note that every row of data that shows up in your output file is basically going to cost you a majestic credit if it has majestic data in there. So if you had the non-www and the www and the fresh index and the historic index, that would be 4 rows of data for every domain, every expired domain you find. That would cost you 4 credits if it looked up the majestic for all 4 of them. So just understand how that works so that you're not mad at me when you use up all your majestic credits. All right, so enough of that. That's the boring stuff. What I want to do is, in order to demonstrate Lazarus, I'm going to go ahead and just, on the fly, I'm going to create a quick seed list using one of my favorite methods, super easy method. This method does require like a majestic account, but it works the same with any backlink tool. Even like the free versions a lot of times do the same thing. All I'm going to do is punch in a domain, and hey, Ryan or Catalin, I mean, give me a niche, give me an idea of something to pull a seed list for.
My favorite niche is underwater basket weaving, but we might not get enough.
I don't know.
Maybe let's go with like dog groomer.
Dog groomers, all right. So here's my method. I don't know why I'm using Yahoo, but let's do it. I'll go here and I'll do a search, and I'll just find a website that's ranking. DuncanDogwash.com. That's an interesting domain name. So I'm going to throw that guy in here, and then I go to the Referring Domains tab, and I just export them. So like if we go look at this guy real quick, um, you know, not a ton of links. He's ranking without much.
That's
Why
pretty
don't
good.
I? I'm going to go with this, Humane Society. I know this one's going to have a lot of links. There we go. So I'll go to referring domains. I'll export this data and just open it up in Excel. All right, and then what we have here is we have a list of all the referring domains that pointed to Humane Society. So I'm not going to grab all of them, but let's say I grab, let's just grab a few hundred. So I grab like about 600 of them, throw those into a text file, and save it. So where this went is I saved this demo.txt to the input folder here. So this demo.txt now just has a list of domains. And we know that those domains were linking out to the Humane Society. All right. So now I'm just going to go over to Lazarus, choose demo. That's the seed list. Crawl depth is, I think the best way to explain it is imagine your seed list like a tree. You're putting the trunk of the tree as the domain or the URL in the seed list. When Lazarus goes to that URL, it's going to see links, internal links to other pages on that domain. All of the links that are on that first page are like the first branch. And then when it follows those links, there's going to be more links on that branch. That's going to be the second branch. So you're looking at crawl depth. There's another way is like how many branches deep do you want to go on this tree? So, I mean, 5 is just an arbitrary number, but it usually works pretty good. Next is the number of threads to run. Now, there's a little difference about Lazarus version 5 here. Threads is actually a per core number. So if you have a single core machine, like a VPS, it's only 1 core. That means 50 threads per core. It's only going to run 50. And if you have an 8-core machine, then 50 threads times 8 would be like 400 threads. So you want to find out what's going to work best for your machine and also for the network that your machine is on. Connection timeout, that's how long the crawler is going to wait for each URL request before it gives up. The more threads that you're running, the more network ports you're using, the potentially longer it can take to open up each thread. So if you're running into issues with lots of timeouts, increasing the timeout would help you. Also reducing the number of threads would help you. So I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a start, and hopefully my license is going to be active and no one's using it already. But we'll find out. Oh, you know what? I didn't enable Moz or Majestic. Let me cancel this in a second. So I'm going to cancel it already. Control-C stops the crawler. Go back in here. I'm just going to restart it from the beginning. If you check the box that says force restart, then any previous crawl that you've done with the seed list that's selected will be erased. And it's going to start over from fresh. If you do not check that box, then Lazarus is going to attempt to resume your last crawl with that seed list. Now, you can save multiple seed lists and have multiple crawl sessions and go from one to the other and resume them and stop them and go another one and resume it. So I'm going to go ahead and restart this one anyways. And while this is running in the background, I'm going to move on and we're going to start the Q&A portion of this. All right. But the good news is, as this is running, we're going to start finding a bunch of domains, and I'm just going to publish the list of domains to everybody who's watching this. So hopefully we find a whole bunch of them. The more the better. and free domains. What's wrong with that, right? So, Ryan, Catalin, I was babbling for a while. Do you guys see any questions come through that you want to jump on right away?
Nope.
All right. Well, then I'm going to start going through them. How about you, Ryan? Do you see anything that caught your eye?
Let me see here. There was one. For large-scale scraping, is there a way to get bulk Majestic lookups? If you have a Majestic account, can you tie into their API? Yeah. Yeah, you can totally jump in and actually use Majestic's API. I think you have to use their mid-level account to be able to do that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it was the
5,000.
Okay.
5,000 is the limit. If you want to work with large scale, it's better to run Lazarus without Majestic and then check Majestic after that.
So
Yeah,
what he's saying is you can upload 100,000 domains at a time and get the Majestic info.
Yeah. But when you like using Lazarus with Majestic, we have a 5,000 limit. I mean, on a mid, I think, account on Majestic, and there's a limit of 5,000.
On the minimum, the lowest level Majestic account, the limit is 5,000. Is that what you're saying?
I get the same message, and I'm not the low account. I'm a little higher.
Gotcha.
I'm not 1,300 euros a year. I'm not sure how much that means, but I get 5,000, and that's why I'm using Majestic after. But if you use the correct setting with the filter for DA and PA, then you get even though you're working with large amounts of links, you can like process the Majestic ones with no problem.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. I think making sure you have your DAPA set to match your preferences is critical. It's going to save you credits, and it's also going to save you work. You won't have to go and check them manually. So a question I saw here as well, there's some good ones, but I'm going to jump into some easy ones first before I give the hard ones to Ryan Catalin. You know what? Actually, I need to introduce Ryan and Catalin. That's what I haven't done yet. My bad. Okay, Catalin, I'll start with you. So actually, Catalin and I just met recently, and I learned a little bit about his business, and he impressed me with a little nugget that he's buying 500 expired domains per month, and he has a hive of domain crawlers in his basement running 24/7. So, Catalin, what else do you want to say? Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do and why you do it.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. So we run a small SEO agency in Bucharest, in Romania. We have a few customers from outside the country. We do client SEO and also in-house projects. We discovered this expired domains like 5-6 years ago. We used to buy one every 3 days, and then one per day, and then two per day, and so on and so forth. And lately, we buy like 15 to 20 domains per day. We have a method that it works. We don't do link farms. We only do like one link per domain. We can afford it because we have a lot of domains. We reach maybe 2,000 right now. It's not a big secret, but it's a long way to get to these numbers.
Yeah, 2,000 domains. That's a lot of domains to manage as well. So I'm sure you'd be an expert on managing a lot of domains. Yep. Very cool. Very cool. And then, yeah, absolutely. Great. And then, sorry to cut you off. And then Ryan. So Ryan, he and I have been working together for, and it's been a while. He was one of the early adopters of Lazarus, and this guy owns like 12 licenses of Lazarus, I think it is, and he goes nuts crawling with Lazarus. He has his own service where he provides domains and PBNs, I believe, for customers of members of like a large group, like an SEO training group. So Ryan, why don't you tell us a bit more about what you do, why you do it? Go for it.
Yes, absolutely. So I found out about Lazarus about almost 2 years ago. I saw it as a really good opportunity with the auctions and everything to go ahead and jump in and actually start, getting these domains set at a much lower price. And so we've gotten to it now. Basically, yeah, we've been gathering these links. I actually have a small agency also that I use these for local and client SEO, and we own several hundred. And I mean, it just works so much better than the auctions in that case. And then so also, I'm in a few SEO training course related groups, and I've actually partnered with a few of the owners of several of these groups, and we provide these PBNs to the students as part of their training and in a service. And we've been able to really, provide a stellar service to students, and at the same time, make some great revenue on the side. So we have 12 of these crawlers running. I do have a team in the Philippines that helps scan through all of them, and also, technical support. It's almost hands off. It's pretty much hands off now. So it's a whole project in and of its own. It's a monster to run, but it's been great for the past year and a half.
That's great. Yeah, very cool. And having it hands off, that's golden right there. that's going to make life easier for sure. All right. So now that you guys know Ryan and Catalin, I'm going to jump into some questions here. Like I said, I'm going to handle the softballs, and then I'll give the more difficult ones to those two experts. One of these questions from Raul is, now that we can use multiple Moz APIs, or how can we, I guess, and is it to make it faster, multiple processes? Yes. Okay. So in your crawler directory, there's a moz.txt, and you can fill it up with as many Moz API accounts as you want. And this is the format that you use. You put your account name here, a little pipe, and then you put your key there, your secret key, whatever it is. Lazarus will use those in a round-robin fashion, and Lazarus will also use your proxies when making those API calls, as we've found that Moz will sometimes ban an IP, but they'll keep the account active. So using proxies with the Moz API calls is actually a way to keep those alive longer and working better. All right, so here's a question for you guys. How do you use expired domains that normally no one talks about? Do you have any maybe secret ways, or that's kind of asking for a lot, but is there anything that you would use an expired domain for that's maybe not a PBN directly, or not just to sell on the marketplace? Maybe while you're thinking about that too, I have two ideas. One is I use expired domains for money sites frequently. Maybe that's not a secret, but I like to use them for SERP Shaker type sites, and I find that my SERP Shaker sites will rank faster when I'm using an expired domain than when I'm using a new domain. And then another thing that I use expired domains for is I'll actually buy spammed out massive amounts of backlinks pointing to a domain, expired domain. So, something that you guys probably all ignore. And I will 301 redirect that to a Web 2, and then link from the Web 2 to a money site, maybe not a client site, but like a money site. And it basically uses the Web 2 as a spam filter and passes on a lot of juice to the money site. And I've done some good ranking doing that method. What about you guys? Catalin, Ryan, any ideas? And you don't have to if you don't.
Yeah, honestly, we set them up as PBNs for our local lead gen sites and for local clients. and and sell them as well. We actually haven't done too much outside of that. Haven't had really a necessity to, but I do like those two methods you had mentioned.
Cool.
I mainly use it as a booster for my client's website. I only use one link per page. This is a bit more expensive, but it doesn't make it seem like a PBN. It's more like a domain within some sort of corporation. It's self-owned. It's still manipulating the search engine, of course, but it's not something like you can get caught by Google. We do this for 5-6 years, never had any issues with that. So posting websites using a single link per page, it's the best, in my opinion, is the best way to promote my clients. It's a bit more expensive though. It gets to sums.
Yeah, so is what you're saying, Catlin, is you will use one expired domain that you find, set it up as a PBN, and only link one time from that PBN to a client site. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's a little bit unorthodox. I use the same design and the same content that Archive provides. This is a little bit more unorthodox. I will remove it once I get a complaint or something like this. It's no secret from me. And I use only one link from that page. I add an extra article to provide more consistency to the PBN. I'm not calling it PBN because it's not a PBN.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
So, Catalin, just if I get that correctly, I think you're saying that you'll do a rip of the archive.org and then upload the HTML with your link in it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have right now. I have a team of 6 junior web developers that can somehow replicate the old page. If the old page is broken, then there are ways to fight against it and to make it look legit, make it look odd. The reason I'm doing this is because once a website has some backlinks from some other place, if the one who provides that backlink wants to check again to see if the website is alive and sees another website, it is probably will remove the backlink. So my method provides juice for a long term. It doesn't expire. I have bigger chances. I mean.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so, actually, we use Domain Reanimator right now and do the same thing. Yeah, and it works very, very well for those out there who are tired of using content or having content written up or having to do it yourself so much for your PBN. You can get a really nice looking site out of Archive and then just with the text Notepad++, throw your link in and upload it, and that's it. Hands off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask another question about that real quick then. How do you guys, if you're looking for an expired domain, say you have a client who's a dog groomer, like Ryan's favorite client, and you're looking for an expired domain to boost that client, and maybe you find a great domain, but it's not quite in the niche that you're looking for. Do you still use that for your dog client, and do you still pull from the archive.org website, use Domain Reanimator, whatever, and point to them, or do you only use a domain that's in that niche? Why don't you tell me how you process that, how you handle that?
We use everything. When the domain doesn't cover the niche that I'm promoting, right now we are promoting very difficult niches. It's adult and gambling and insurance, and the most difficult niches that you can find. If we find a domain that doesn't correspond to its niche, we never add a keyword. We just add the naked URL. We say it.
Yeah. So you could find, in your case, you're ranking a gambling website, but you find one of Ryan's dog grooming expired domains. That's really good metrics. You throw that up there with all the dog grooming content, but throw in a naked URL link back to your casino or gambling website.
That happens only if you keep adding relevant also relevant domains. So if you have only unrelevant domains, that's not good. One way or another, sooner or later you'll be caught.
Yep. Yep. Good tip. Good tip.
Yeah. So we actually, I find we look for more of the powerful domains, and we actually don't keep it relevant to the niche ever, really. If we find a good domain based on the metrics that we have in place, we'll use it simply because the power, and we'll find a way to make it relevant within the content. Yeah.
So in that case, you wouldn't use domain reanimator. You'd have to have some content created for it. Is that accurate?
Oh, even one where it wouldn't make sense at all. Let's just say there's like a dog grooming museum of like all the past great dog groomers, and it's an online website. I would find a way to repurpose that for a lawyer or for for maybe some other local niches like tree trimming or something. There's just I'm not so much worried about a manual review coming, and we still set it up as hey, check out our sister website. Hey, check out a website that is really helped us out in growing in our early days, what have you.
Cool. Very cool. All right, next question. Are there a limited amount of expired domains that are usable because of scraper competition? And this is to me, it's a softball question, so I'll take this one. There is a virtually unlimited supply because every single day, hundreds of thousands of domains are expiring. And you could have a seed list of domains that you just recrawl every day or every week, and you're going to find new domains with the same old seed list over time. So there's an unlimited supply. Now, with that said, I will say that the major domain extensions like .com, .org, .net are more difficult to find the high metric expired domains. In this new version of Lazarus, we have the support. We actually custom coded our own proprietary Whois API. And so we still require you to use either Namecheap or Dynadot or both. You don't have to use both. I thought that was a question earlier. You could just use one of them. And first we check the domain with DNS. So that filters out a ton of domains. Then we check with the Namecheap or Dynadot. And if they don't support that domain, they let us know. And then we check it with our custom Whois API. And by doing it in this process, it's actually faster, and we're able to get virtually every single domain extension checked. Like, we're checking and finding domains in like obscure countries and obscure, exotic locations where no other crawler has been before, or it seems like no other crawler has been there before, because I'm finding extremely powerful domains, huge metrics, like the dream metrics. You want a DA 40 with like a trust flow 30. I found those in some obscure domain extension because no other crawler has been there. So with the new release of Lazarus, not that there was an issue with domains running out, but we've just expanded the playing field tremendously. So now everything is available to us. Really quick on that. A common question or common issue that people have been running into is, hey, I just found a domain in some weird country, and I go to Namecheap, and it tells me that it's not available to register. And I say, okay, that's fine. Namecheap doesn't support that domain extension in the first place, so they won't let you register it. If you find some weird domain extension, you need to go online and find which registrars support it. And there's a website called tldlist.com, and what it does is you can put in a domain extension. I'm trying to think here if we go. Yeah, like /TLD, I don't know, .ir. So I put IR as the extension. It'll show you which registrars support it, and it sorts it by the cheapest one first. So you can find, when you find an expired domain, odds are very high that it truly is expired and available. You just have to find which registrar to register it with, and once you do that, it's yours. And again, this is unlocking like the entire world of domains. So yeah, it's tld-list.com. All right, so looking here, scrolling back through the questions. I'm glad to see that there's a lot of questions. Let's see here. Wow, there's so many. Biggest difference between Lazarus 5 and Lazarus 3. And you'll notice that we don't have a Lazarus 4. We actually did. It just never left beta. And then we rewrote the entire thing again and came out with Lazarus 5. I was never happy enough with 4 to release it. Biggest difference is Lazarus 5 is literally multiples faster than Lazarus 3. And then, of course, we support every domain extension, as well as, I think, like over 30, there's like 32 Web 2.0s that we currently support. So it's pretty big. Let's see here. And hey, and Ryan, Catlin, you guys can scroll through questions. If you see something that pops out to you, please don't hesitate to hop in.
Ryan, you go ahead.
Oh, okay, well, tell you what, I know there's a super common question here, and it's really important. How do you guys analyze a domain? How do you guys, when you've got a list of, say you did a crawl for like a day, and you have a list of 10,000 domains in your output file, what are you guys doing to choose the domain that you're going to buy?
Ryan, you go ahead.
So, you know, you with the Majestic and Moz information, that makes it so much easier right there alone. So what we'll do is I have my VAs, first of all, I would send stuff. If you don't have a VA, you can get one for part-time. I mean, like $130, $150 a month. It's a huge investment of time. Anyway, so what I have them do is actually sort by the DA and then the Majestic. And so what we're looking for is, you know, you can automatically filter by a Moz DA of 15 plus and Majestic of 10 or higher. That of the 10,000 domains is already going to bring you down to, you know, maybe a couple thousand, if that. And from there, what you can do is you can actually, if you look up on YouTube, you can find a way to look at the Excel file. You can filter out the domains you don't need. So, you know, .au, .uk, just take the domains that end with that, filter them out. You can even filter by keyword, take out Viagra, cheap, this, that. And I mean, right there, you're only going to have about 200 domains to go through. And then looking at the referring domains right there, you'll know which ones are, then sorting by the referring domains, I mean, you get down to 100. It really doesn't take that much time to go through 100 out of the 10,000 you originally started with.
Okay. A while ago, I found a database of links. I didn't use Lazarus for that. I just, you know, searched the web. I used Lazarus after. It was like 16 gigabytes of links, just links, like an SQL file with all the links from Wikipedia. We bought maybe 100 domains from that list, because from this several millions links, after Lazarus, after Majestic and filter, then we got to be in archive.org, in screenshots.com, and in Majestic again with just 10,000, from which we bought 100. The most important thing here is the manual check at the end, because Uh, some people want to sell you PBNs, and I think it's bad because you don't know what you buy. If you scan it yourself, then you know what you buy. Um, After you go through all these filters, you go to archive.org and you check all the dots in the timeline. If you miss one, that date could be a 301 redirect, which is a permanent redirect, and all the juice that this website had in the past transferred to the other side that it's redirecting to. Screenshots provides you images with different versions of the site in the past. This is also very important because some of the stuff that show up in screenshots doesn't show up in archive, and it's an extra tool. So this is how we do stuff after all the scan and all the the metrics in Majestic or in Moz. I don't use Moz personally.
Got it. Question as well is, so when you guys, I mean, Catlin, you've got 2,000 domains. How do you guys host them? Do you spread it out a bunch? And how do you keep track of all those?
We have like 500 hosts right now. We used to buy quality hosts in the beginning, then to make the price go a little lower, then we start to search for other ways to host our websites. And right now there's an unorthodox way to do it, and we use Scrapebox to find hosts. There's something. Okay. If you like, most of the hosts use WHMC, I think it's called, the software, and these websites always have the client area URL, like a client area, just like this, domain.com/client area, and we use Scrapebox to scan those websites, and then we manually check all the client areas and check for the prices. We have some other filters that we buy our domains. One of them is the age of the hosting company. We never buy something that newer than 2 years.
That's smart.
Yeah.
So I also use a web forum called webhostingtalk.com, and if you go on there, there's a forum in there where web hosts post their deals, and I find a ton of cheap hosts that way.
That's the best source. That's the best source.
Yeah, you can get hosting for a year for $4 from a certified, really good web hoster.
Exactly.
That's what we use. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then another question was how to keep domain costs down. That TLD list website that I mentioned earlier is a great way because, again, it's organizing all the different registrars by price. So that's a good way to find the cheapest. Another way is if you're buying a bunch of domains, and say you're using Namecheap or Dynadot or whatever your favorite registrar is, once you have a lot of them, negotiate with them. Open a chat session and say, hey, I buy a lot. Give them a call, whatever. I buy a lot. I'd like to continue buying more here, but I need to save some money. Otherwise, I'm just going to start shopping around for the lowest price. And they'll work with you, and they'll give you discounts pretty much every time. So, and then, again, back to that list of domains, like say you have 10,000. In Lazarus, another feature that we have a domain filter text file. And the way this works is when Lazarus is crawling and it's finding expired domains, this works like it's a filter. If this string of text exists in the domain that it finds, it's going to ignore that domain and it will not be in your output file. So you fill up this file with all of the domain extensions that you don't like and all of the keywords that you don't like, and those will never show up in your output. So the porn, casino, and other links that Catlin wants will never show up in your output file if you add those keywords here. Another common question is, okay, the domain filter makes sense. What's the crawl filter? Well, the crawl filter is very similar. It's also a string based, and what it does is, say you want to, you have a seed list full of sites, but you know from experience that you don't like forums, and maybe it's a waste of time to crawl forums, like a black hole. Lots of pages, no domains found. You could add a string here, like /forum, or look up a list of strings for forum websites. You add those in here, and anytime the crawler comes across that URL, it won't even crawl it. It won't check for domains on it or anything. This also works great for when you find a black hole website, meaning like you're crawling a website. You have a big list in your seed list of domains, and the crawler slows down because it's stuck on a website. It's taking up all the threads, and it's just not returning any value. And I'll show you how you can identify that here in a second. But then you just add that website here. Like here's 3 that I added from a recent crawl, where it was like hundreds of thousands of pages crawled and no domains found. So you add those here, and stop your crawler, and then start it up again to resume. It'll read this list, and it will ignore those URLs in the future. So those are the two filter files that you'll want to make use of. So how do you know if you have a black hole domain? So there's another thing in Lazarus 5 that's different. We have a generate report button. And the way this works is you choose the seed list file that you've done a crawl on, and you click generate report. And what it'll do is it's going to create a report file in your output folder that has a list of domains that have been crawled. You know what? I think I have to stop my crawler before I can do it. But I'm not going to stop it right now. We'll just keep going. But what it'll do is it'll generate a list of domains that have been crawled, and it'll show how many URLs have been crawled and how many expired domains were found, and also how many errors were encountered on that domain. So you can quickly look at that list and identify good domains, meaning, hey, this domain has crawled 100,000 pages and it's found 20,000 expired domains. That's like a golden domain. And then you find ones where you've crawled 100,000 or a million pages and it's found 1 domain. And you know that you don't want to waste your time with that. You add that to your crawl filter, and next time you start the crawler, it's going to ignore that domain. So that's the report function. Very useful. In the past, we used to just have to like almost guess at what a bad, black hole domain was. And now with this, guesswork is gone.
Yeah, we would actually go in, we would delete black hole domains from the seed list before letting it get to the software. And I'll tell you guys right now, I'll go ahead and put a couple of them that I could think on the fly in the comments right there. I know Folk is a huge one, and even the globe.org.net.com, I think the globe I would definitely add those in there.
Great tip. How do you guys find or create your seed list? Like I showed you one method where I do an export of referring domains from Majestic. Typically it works pretty good. I mean, we've been in this call for like 45 minutes, and I've found 463 expired domains so far. That's okay. I think if we let it run overnight, it'd be in the thousands. But how do you guys create your seed list? Any tricks or any tips you could offer for that?
Again, Scrapebox. If you don't have Scrapebox, there are alternative ways, and you can become creative. Like copying all the results from Google and putting it into a file. You don't have to do this like the hard way, copying link by link. There's a small Chrome extension named Link Clump. It's for people that don't require too many domains. This with right click, just select the results from Google, and you can go to like 100 pages in depth, and you can collect your seed. It all depends on your keyword. If you, I'm ranking some websites for escort websites all around the world, and for these websites that are based in Italy, in Switzerland, in France, in the United Kingdom, even in USA, I do this kind of search on, let's say, Yandex, or this kind of search on Google. Just add the domain and you can get different TLDs. It's like an alternative way to Scrapebox.
Okay, and so actually, cool. Yeah, so the way we get our seed list is actually the exact same way that that Kurt showed you guys, and that's through Majestic. We found that we go through so much volume that it's just makes it worlds easier to find those big websites, download the referring domains, and build seed lists that way through Scrapebox, of course, because you want to delete all of the duplicate domains and what have you.
Great. So when you guys find an expired domain, and we kind of asked this earlier, I'm going to ask it in a little bit different way. You're looking at a very specific domain. How do you know that it's good and that you're going to buy it?
Basically, oh, go ahead,
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is no spam. You don't want to see millions of backlinks. You don't want to even see really hundreds of thousands of backlinks. You don't want to see that it had GSA, spammed links. You don't want to see that, you know, it was spammed with Viagra, porn, Cialis, this or that. My biggest thing is it clean? If it's clean all through archive.org, and if it's clean all in the anchor text, and it looks really nice and it has a certain amount of backlinks, then you're at least getting a website that has some powerful backlinks without the spam aspect of it. And that's how we filter, and then we'll purchase based on that.
Does it have to have a trust flow that meets a certain minimum requirement, or what else do you look at there?
You know, we do, but that is strictly for the student base that we're selling to. We have to let them know that the domains that they're getting are going to fall within certain parameters. So I've seen some websites with like Wikipedia links that, you know, the trust flow starts to go out a little bit. So when it comes to our own that we use, I mean, we'd like it to start out with a nice trust flow, but if it dips and drops, we'll still hang on to it.
Yeah, great. Catlin, do you do anything differently?
About the metrics that we are looking for, we only use, as I said before, Majestic. We only buy domains that goes on the root, so not on the www version of the index URL, but on the root starting with 11. This is like a rule that we established a while ago. That could mean if it's 11, that could mean on the www version, which is different SEO wise. It could be even 18, 19 trust flow. Other than that, when we find like a lower metrics domain and it's relevant to my niche, then I'm not going to dump it. I'm going to keep it. And my clients don't want to know the metrics of the domains that I buy. They want to see the results, so they don't care about what I do.
Great. So, yeah. Very good. Yeah, I'm very similar to that. I have in my mind a trust flow that I'd like to keep it at, you know, that or above. But especially when I'm doing local SEO stuff, or very niche specific or geo specific, when I find domains that just fit nicely into those categories, like it's perfect for the location, meaning I'm in Oregon, it's a Portland domain, and it has like a trust flow of 6 with like maybe a handful of good links. To me, that's just as good as a generic domain that's not geo-specific with higher metrics. So I'll buy those ones that really match the niche or the geolocation well. So Raul said something earlier about the new Web 2.0 sites. Specifically, he mentioned Twitter getting the message like name already taken. You will run into that. Twitter, even though the name has expired, they lock down some of them, and I think they release them over time. But don't throw those out. That is like that's a little secret that as far as I know, only Lazarus is doing this. Where you're finding expired Twitter accounts. Those are like little miniature PBNs that are already done for you. They're already themed. They have a lot of them have backlinks. I mean, you're still looking for backlinks and stuff, but they're ready to post as soon as you register them. And there's a lot of them that are available. Don't throw those out. That's not all I'm going to say. Some people will get angry if I say much more than that.
Yeah, if you combine these domains with these pages, these accounts with the PBNs, with the expired, that's a very powerful way to rank higher.
I totally agree. Totally agree. Let's see here. How do you guys estimate the number of PBNs needed to rank? Not really a expired domain question, but I mean, go for it.
Yeah, that's a tough call. I mean, if we knew that, then yeah. So, you know, a really good way to do that though is I look at the competitor who you're trying to outrank. I haven't heard it mentioned yet, but Ahrefs does a really good backlink profile. Quick tangent. I've looked at certain domains in Majestic, and I thought, okay, well, you know, it's okay, and then I pull it into Ahrefs and find out it has a NASA.gov link. So I really look at the competitor's website through Majestic, Ahrefs, Moz, and taking an in-depth look at it and its backlinks, the top backlinks that it's receiving. Based on all my SEO knowledge and experience, then I can gauge how long, how many resources it's going to take. And a good way that you can do that yourself is, I mean, look at their backlink profile, look at some of the links, look at some of the links that you have on yours, and look at your inventory of domains and see, is it reasonable that you can outbeat them with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, yesterday I did some analysis for some of our client websites and to see if we can rank any higher than the place that we've got. Basically, there's a website on a very competitive niche in France that we've got to 5th place from nowhere, like 4 months ago. We take a look at the backing profile of the competition, the one above. If my website, my links are not as powerful as theirs, then I have to figure out a way to combat this. Otherwise, if your backlink profile is clean and it doesn't have some exceptional backlinks, then you can beat them. But there is no way to find out how many backlinks you need. There's no way to know what's the budget for your move. Nobody can tell you that. If somebody tells you that, then he's lying to you. So it's as simple as that. You keep building backlinks, quality backlinks, keep buying expired. They're not expensive. It's not hard to set up, not very hard to find. If you keep buying backlinks, then you're getting somewhere, definitely.
I agree with that, definitely. And also look at certain things as like a marathon and not a race, if it's feasible. I mean, if you're willing to stick in there for years because it's a high payout niche, then, I mean, you're going to learn new tactics along the way, and you'll definitely, I mean, as you start to have more money coming in from clients, maybe you can, if you need just one super powerful link, you can hit the auction for that. Or I'm actually very curious to see with the new TLD filters, what kind of domains we can dig out on Lazarus 5.
Yeah, I think you'll be happy what's out there. It's like it's like turning back the clock maybe 5 years and going, oh wow, all of a sudden there's a bunch of domains available that have auction level metrics. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
I will say
You
for
guys,
now, we've ranked tons of local niche money sites with the expired domains alone, though. Sorry, what was that, Kurt?
oh, I was just going to move on. The next question is, do either of you guys use Web 2.0s in your SEO, especially expired Web 2.0s?
We do. I don't know much about them because there's another department that takes care of this stuff. But we
Okay.
do. Combined with, as I said earlier, combined is like a bomb. But they're necessary. If you just if you just add expired domains and I don't know, forum posts, blog posts, and so on and so forth, you're missing this, and this is very important. I know they are using a lot of Web 2.0 to provide diversity, and some of them are really, really strong. If you don't do this diversity stuff, you might lose the consistency.
Totally agree. You're not always going to get huge power out of a Web 2.0, but diversity, and then also using them as buffer sites.
Exactly.
I know a lot of people who rank with Web 2.0s pointing to their money site and almost no PBNs pointing to their money site because they point the PBNs to their Web 2.0s instead. So
I know there's like some people, and also we are testing this right now using 2.0 as backlinks for the money sites and PBNs to fuel the 2.0. So it's a layered structure of backlinking. It's very powerful because you never get caught like this. Using like an extra layer between the PBN and your money site.
right. Next question. I mean, Simon asked question, do we use DA and PA? I mean, I use it for a filter. I think Catlin said he doesn't use Moz metrics at all. I think Ryan mentioned he just uses it as a filter as well. Other than that,
That's
Moz,
correct.
yeah, Moz pretty much sucks. Like their backlink crawler just doesn't find a ton, but it gives you a decent enough feel for kind of the ballpark of where a domain's at, that you can use it as a filter. But that's it. That's all I use it for. I found too many domains with like a trust flow of 20 that have a Moz DA of 6. And you just go, well, I think I'll trust Majestic since it actually knows which links are pointing to the domain more than I will trust Moz. So Ryan said he'll sort by Moz first. I do that too. A lot of times I'll sort just by Majestic trust flow and ignore Moz altogether. So yeah, in fact, you saw in my settings earlier, I use a minimum Moz DA of 5 because I've found, again, a lot of trust flow, decent trust flow with a low Moz. But then if you're selling domains and you're telling people, hey, I'm only selling DA 15, trust flow 15 plus domains, then you're kind of stuck using DA for that. That's kind of become an industry standard, if you would.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to just touch on really briefly. Is that remember the purpose we're using them for is when vending domains. Students are looking for it to have a criteria, and there's such a wide variety, diversity in what people are looking for that if we can at least tell them it's going to be that, then pretty much everyone's going to be happy. So.
Yep. Valerie asks, how can you build out 100 sites quickly? Using like the archive.org method, where you download an archived version of the website. It's super fast. It's an HTML version. It's not going to be WordPress, so it can be more difficult to manage and a little more difficult to add your link to it. It also won't get hacked as much. So when you put that on a host, it's going to be safe. Yeah, I got a thumb up from Catlin. He agreed. When you start managing a bunch of domains, I think the #1 issue you're running into is dealing with hacks and crashes. And the next question from Danny was, any favorite tools for managing a lot of domains? I use main WP. What about you guys? Do you have any tools you use?
Nope.
All right. Yeah, you guys, you have a team, so you do it all manually. Ryan?
Microsoft Excel. I mean, once we get it set up, it's pretty much it's good set up, so we don't have to go back to so much. Yeah.
Great.
Agree.
Yeah.
No. Like I don't know what kind of tools. We keep everything in Google Drive, so on a spreadsheets on Google Drive. Other than that, there's no other tool that we use to manage the domains, to keep them. But very complex and very difficult to maintain data sheets. But that's the only way you can do it, because the depth that you're going to when you're managing a lot of, it's incredible, a lot of websites. So that's the only tool that we use.
Great.
We tried some other, but
Yep. Another question just about, analyzing domains. What do you look for in the backlink profile? Ryan touched on it earlier, and just to flesh it out a little bit more, if you can find clean links, so not like a spam forum link or blog commenting links, like you'll find a lot of websites that have all they have are comment links, and maybe they're manual comment links, but that's all they are. Those to me just don't seem to pass much power. So focusing on ones that have a real backlink from real sites that have been aged, even if it's only 3 or 4 links, if they're from a good site. I mean, one of the features that I added to Lazarus early on that I personally love is in the output file. You've got your expired domain, obviously, and you have all the metrics for it. The last column in the file is the URL where the domain was found. A lot of times, because you have to remember, Majestic and Moz and Ahrefs, they're out there crawling, but they don't find every link. And oftentimes, the links that you find these websites on, Majestic doesn't know about it yet, or maybe they do. But I'll take that list of URLs where I found a domain, run those through Scrapebox, and look up like the Moz DA and PA of it, or look up the trust flow of those URLs in Majestic, or I used to look up the PageRank. And when you find a link from a page that has awesome metrics, then you go check out that page and find out that there's only like 3 links on that page, and one of them is to your expired domain. Even if that's the only link that domain has, why wouldn't you buy that? I know if somebody came to you and said, hey, look, I've got this EDU website. Look, it's got a trust flow of 60, and I'll sell you a link on here for $10 a year. You would jump all over that. And that's essentially what you're doing when you buy an expired domain with a good backlink. You're buying a link. And the more links, you can buy them in bulk when you find an expired domain that has a lot of backlinks. But even if you're buying 1 or 2 really solid links, think about it in those terms. I just bought a link that's worth $100 a month, or more is what you would pay for it if you were buying it on the open market, but I just paid $10 a year for it. So I think a lot of people are looking for the dream domain, like I saw mentioned earlier, with a DA 40, trust flow 40, something like that. Really rare to find that. You can find it a little bit in these obscure domain extensions, but super rare to find like that dream domain. I like dream backlinks, like those ones I was just talking about. And you buy 1 or 2 of those, and that's great. So think about it in those terms.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Catlin, Ryan, when you guys buy domains, are you using domain privacy or using fake profile data? How are you protecting against footprint?
Uh,
Yeah, I think so Name Silo, Namecheap, they offer free who is Dynadot. It's like $3, maybe $3.95. It's worth it, you can keep a varied profile, so some without, some with. And then for hosting, I mean, you can get someone on Fiverr to create emails for you with the US IP. You can have 15 to 30 emails made, and then you can go to fake name, fake address generator.com or something like that. Just Google it, and then just put all that into the hosting. So what I do with that is, for hosting, I'll get an email made, Yahoo, what have you, put the fake name in, and then once I purchase the hosting, I'll just forward that email to my main email, and I have a folder with all my different hosting accounts so that I can access the cPanel, get the IP for FTP, client transfer, what have you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you work again large amounts, then you need to buy the subscription at GoDaddy. Pay an annually fee. It's ridiculous. It's around $100, I think I paid the last time, and you get domains at half price. This is a very good thing to mention. And then sometimes you can add your privacy. Sometimes you cannot, because the TLD that you're buying doesn't allow privacy. But this, if you can do it, do it. But I want to tell you something. We do this for 5 years. The only problem that we've dropped 20% of our domains wasn't because of the privacy, because we had some names repeated, was because of the hosting. We were in a
Mm-hmm.
bad neighborhood. So it wasn't about the domain. It wasn't about the expired. It wasn't about the privacy. It wasn't about anything but the hosting. Google's seen, I've seen these IPs like a bad neighborhood, and penalized everything on those IPs. And that's how we learned, paying a lot of money, how to select our hosting carefully. Maybe you can also, Kurt, maybe you can also have some recommendations about hosting on the website, some tutorials maybe with some very good hosting for your clients to buy.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I've had the same experience as Catlin. I did lose a number of domains, which was frustrating. But when I dug into it, it was the hosting. It really was. I mean, that's just what it comes down to, bad neighborhoods. So I stay away from SEO hosting. I haven't tried some of the newer ones, like I think it's
I wouldn't touch it.
EDN. Yeah,
From
I
what
haven't
I've seen,
tried
those
those.
clouds, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard some bad stuff happen. I'm not even going to test it. I'm not going to risk it myself.
Yeah, it's maybe easier, but you're trading off. And if everyone is jumping on it because it's easier, you're just making a bigger honeypot for Google to find. So I mean, that's just my thing. I see here avoiding $1 hosts. I don't avoid them. I think Catlin dropped a nice tip earlier, and that was make sure it's been around for a couple of years. If the
Yeah.
host is brand new, I've paid for like a year of hosting, and then a month later the host was gone, and that's frustrating too.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, avoid PBN hosting, avoid SEO hosting. I don't avoid cheap hosts. I think those are a good way to save money. I find them from. I try to look on web hosting talk, find those that have maybe good reviews, go that route. You can also mix in some content delivery networks like Cloudflare and Encapsula, and those will be helpful. Um, Another question I saw earlier, how to crawl for Web 2.0s. So this is just me personally. Like I typically don't target Web 2.0s. I'm typically creating a seed list that either targets a niche or is just trying to find as many domains as I can. And then I consider the Web 2.0's bycatch. It's like when you throw out a big net and you're trying to catch a certain kind of fish, you're going to get some bycatch. You're going to catch some other fish too. That's how I personally come across my Web 2.0s. And they're everywhere. And they're right next to good expired domains because essentially that's what they are. If all you want to do is target those, then what you can do is go into Scrapebox, you create a seed list where you're basically doing a cite command, like say you're just trying to find all the Tumblr ones you can find. You do a Scrapebox where you do that Google search, that cite command, like the site /tumblr.com, and then space, put in a keyword that you like. And then you're going to run your scrape, you're going to get a huge list of Tumblr sites. Maybe filter that list and remove anything that's not Tumblr. Use that as your seed list. Do a really small, like a narrow depth, like a crawl depth of 1 or 2. And then you'll basically only be crawling Tumblr. All you'll be finding is, not all you'll be finding, you'll actually find a bunch of expired domains doing that too, but you'll find more Tumblr accounts that way. And you can do that with any of the Web 2.0s that we support. So that's my tip for targeting those. I think we're coming towards the end of the questions, and it's been great. Yeah, I mean, there's still a few more coming in. Host 9, you asked about that, Jocelyn. I just still say, I think Host 9's an SEO host, last time I checked, and so I'd stay away. Valerie asks, do you 302 your domains? I never 302 a domain. I will 301 a domain. 302 doesn't pass the link juice. 301 will. I will do those rarely directly to a money site. Typically, I'll do that to a buffer site of some sort. Maybe to another PDN or to a Web 2.0, which then from there links out to a money site. And then Tony asks, can I list all the Web 2.0s? Yeah, there's a list on Facebook. Let me show you that. I think I pulled it up earlier. So yeah, in the Facebook group, I posted a list of the current 2.0s that are supported. So you can go on the Facebook group and take a look at those. And if you guys have a request for a 2.0 that's not on the list, create a support ticket or send me a message. Give me your request. You know, obviously we want to support ones that allow you to re-register an expired one. Some of these may or may not. So if you come across that issue as well, let us know and we'll remove it. But if you have one that you know does support that and it has decent metrics, I mean, we're happy to add it. The more the better. So, I mean,
Chris.
yeah, very cool.
So,
all right, so go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. Chris was saying, is there a way to find only niche-specific domain names? And I would say it's by looking up your niche website, like as Kurt had done in the beginning of this webinar. Basically, if you're looking for dog groomer backlinks or domains, rather, well, then yeah, you can see on the screen, he put in humanesociety.org, and then you scrape those. Any of those are normally going to be a niche-specific domain, and at least, probably even more importantly, going to have the niche-specific backlinks.
Yep, exactly. We're coming towards the end of the call. I wanted to, first of all, I want to thank Catlin and Ryan for coming on and sharing. It's really hard to quantify the value of some of the things that they've shared because it can seem like it can just kind of flow over your head and you won't realize it. Some of the nuggets they've shared are going to save you a ton of money, a ton of time, and are also going to make you be able to utilize Lazarus or other expired domain crawlers, because there's others out there, and if you prefer them, go for it. But some of these tips are going to help you to really leverage the power that come in those tools. So please, if you missed something, watch the replay again. But I want to thank them for joining me. If you guys want to reach out to them, I think they're both open to new clients and customers. Catlin, I mean, you guys do worldwide stuff for SEO. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you to have you do SEO for them, how would they go about doing that?
I just leave my email. Thank you for that.
Great. Yeah, so there's Catlin's email address in the chat. And then Ryan, I mean, you build PBNs for people. You find the expired domain, you build it, and they pay a flat fee for it. I know there's demand for that. If somebody wants to contact you, are you open to doing that for other people, or are you tied to a group? Go ahead and tell me about that.
Yeah, so we can definitely help those of you out there who are more interested in having, us find more domains for you, and then of course set them up as well. We do charge fees for that, of course, but we're also going to be rolling out some other stuff. So if you wanted to get in touch with me, you can add me on Facebook. I'll go ahead and drop my name in here. Go ahead and add me on Facebook. You can send me a private message, and we'll be able to help you out how we can.
Awesome, awesome. Well, last thing I'm going to do here, I mentioned I actually haven't mentioned it in the webinar, but for those of you who have stuck around, I'm going to be giving away a free copy of Lazarus to somebody who's on the call. And so I've got a list of people here. Now, I don't know if it's in the same order for everybody, so I'm just going to ask Ryan, just give me a number between 1 and 27, because I think that's all we have left on the call right now, a number between 1 and 27.
Let's do 23.
23, all right, so I'll go here. Okay, so it looks like Sunny or Sony or Zone, so Sunny Munzi 995. Check your email. You just won a lifetime copy of Lazarus. So that'll be coming to you. I need to write that down really quick. Got it. So congratulations.
Don't underestimate that copy, man. We can. We'll take all we can get.
Yeah. So that's do what you want. And then the other thing I mentioned was, so we did this crawl today. As you can see on my screen, I'm up to almost 1,400 domains found. Come on, guys, that's pretty good. I had no idea what I was going to be scraping for or crawling before this. It's been roughly an hour that it's been crawling, and we've found almost 1,400 domains. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to give away this list of domains. I'm going to put them on Pastebin. So let's go to Pastebin. So you guys who are on the call obviously get first dibs at this list. So I'm going to go here, stop the crawler. Oh, numbers keep going up. It's almost 1,400. Should I wait for 1,400? I feel like I should wait. It's going to be there in just a second.
There it goes.
It's right there, right on the brink. Oh, 1,397. That's how many is going to be. Oh, 1,398. 1,400. Okay, so we hit 1,400. Let's see. Let's go. Let these last two there. All right. So I'm going to stop the crawler. So yeah, it crawled for 4,000 seconds, and we found 1,400 domains. That's like 1 every 3 seconds or something. My math is not very good. It's less than that. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to grab that right now. Here's the CSV. Copy this. Throw it in Pastebin. CSV, I hope it maintains that. Otherwise, it's going to be a mess for you guys to scroll through. Yeah, create new paste, right? Paste exposure, public. Let's go free expired domain list. Courtesy of Project Lazarus. How about that? All right. There is the Pastebin URL. I just posted it. I think that went public. Did everyone get that in chat?
Yes.
Cool. Oh, it's triggered a spam. Let's see. I hit submit. There. Okay. I think that worked. Can you guys tell me if that worked? Are you able to go there?
I'm checking it out right now.
Cool. Awesome. Yes, it worked. Good. Glad to hear it. Last question. Simon asked, how many threads do you run? Answer, it doesn't matter. You got to figure out what works for your machine. Oh, I almost forgot. You guys that stuck around. Okay, there is I'm not going to call it a bug, but there's an issue with Windows Server, or maybe it's all Windows. They limit the number of active ports on your Windows machines. Ryan, I don't even know if you know this or not. There's a regedit fix to unlimit that. And I've noticed massive speed improvements by doing this. Also, errors went away. So let me grab this, and I'll post this as well. Let's see here. Yeah, it's how to fix. Yes. All right. All right, let me give this to you guys really quick. This has nothing to do with Lazarus. This is a Windows issue. So it doesn't matter what tool you're using. This will improve GSA or Scrapebox if you're running into like threads getting killed by Windows, like number of ports being open. So read that, copy paste that, whatever it is. I'll also post it in the Facebook group. But that will help you. So hey guys, thank you for coming. Appreciate everyone showing up. The webinar will be up soon. I'll post it in the Facebook group. Thank you, Catlin. Thank you, Ryan. You guys are awesome. If you guys have more questions, take it to the Facebook group. Get it going there. And again, it's been awesome. Any last words, Ryan, Catlin?
No, thanks for, hope that we provided a lot of value for you guys. A lot of the stuff I shared today, it took me upwards of a year to learn. And it's just, there was a lot of collective great value there. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that you learn by yourself. Some things are to be told, some other are not. So if you don't test it, if you don't go for it, this is a trial and error business. You do the testing, you suffer the consequences. Nobody will tell you nothing really important because nobody knows practically. You have to do it. You have to keep buying. You have to add links. You have to test it, and so forth.
Absolutely. Yeah. So whenever you can shorten the learning curve, which we hope that we were able to do through this this training webinar here, then that's money in the bank. So yeah, take it to the bank. Go use it. Awesome, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining. See you guys around.
See ya.
Take care.